Alright, what's going on YouTube? Today we're taking a look at League's newest champion, Kai'Sa. Personally, she looks like one of the most interesting champions they have put out in a really long time because it really fits my playstyle, but without further ado, let's take a look at what she actually does. First of all, her passive is called Second Skin. It has two parts, the first one called Caustic Wounds. Kai'Sa's basic attacks mark enemies with plasma, dealing increasing bonus magic damage. After a few successive attacks, the plasma ruptures for a burst of damage based on the target's missing health. Nearby allies' immobilizing effects add stacks of plasma. And the second part, called Living Weapon. Kai'Sa's symbiote suit adapts to her chosen attack style, evolving her abilities based on permanent stats gained from shop items and experience level. From the first part of her passive, we can definitely tell right away that this is going to be an attack speed based champion. We need to get those stacks in order to reduce the enemy's max HP to a point where the stacks actually deal a lot of damage. So regardless of where she actually ends up going, either jungle, ADC, mid, whatever, she's always going to need a lot of attack speed. And the second part is not explained right away in the video we just saw, but we'll see with the other abilities what it actually entails. Furthermore, as we're going to see with some of the other abilities later on, there's one particular item that's going to be extremely good on her, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. Her Q is called Ajoscram Rain. Kai'Sa releases a swarm of missiles evenly distributed among nearby enemies, with additional hits on the same target dealing slightly reduced damage. And here's where the passive part comes back in, Living Weapon. With enough bonus attack damage, Ajoscram Rain fires significantly more missiles. Basically, what I can gather from the text here is that there's a certain threshold for the Q to get procced with enough AD, so that she can actually get the bonus effect from Living Weapon. Like I said, this is a common theme throughout her kit, and we'll see with other abilities that actually basically do the same thing, with different stats. So basically it's kind of like a homing missile that comes out of her back and shoots everyone around. Obviously, because it deals slightly less damage, you want to be in the middle of the entire enemy team so that it hits multiple targets and not only one guy. But the thing about that is that as an ADC you usually don't want to do that, so we'll see how her kit overall works. After that, I have a clip at the end to show some of the gameplay. But basically, that's exactly what we kind of want from an ADC. So not necessarily someone that gets in there and like shoots everyone, but like someone that stays behind and hammers on one or two different champions from a distance. So we'll see how that turns out. Her W is called Void Seeker. Kai'Sa fires off a beam of void energy, revealing the first enemy hit, dealing magic damage and applying stacks of plasma. And its Living Weapon buff does, with enough bonus ability power, Void Seeker deals more damage and partially refunds the cooldown on champion hit. I'm kind of torn on this ability a little bit. I mean, obviously it's a great scouting tool. It has ridiculous range, kind of like Jin's E. But the thing about it is that it might be just a little bit too strong, and I don't know, if you're like in close range, close quarters fighting someone, and if you have Ginsu's Rage Blade as an item and you get the threshold on this thing, the damage is extremely good. I don't know if you could tell, but it was a ridiculous amount of damage that the Rek'Sai took. So I'm not too sure on this ability. It seems just a little bit too overloaded with too many things, but I mean, I guess we'll see how it plays out. As we're gonna see in a minute, this ability has direct link to her ultimate. The missile speed on the ability is actually really slow, so maybe that's one of the good things about it. Maybe it's not that overpowered because it's really slow, but I guess we'll see. Her E is called Supercharger. Kai'Sa charges up, briefly increasing her movement speed but losing the ability to attack. After charging up, Kai'Sa whips out the big guns to increase her attack speed for a few seconds. Basic attacks reduce Supercharger's cooldown. The Living Weapon extra effect is, with enough attack speed, bonus attack speed, Supercharger briefly grants true invisibility while charging up. So aside from that extremely cringy big guns wording there on the ability, this is actually probably the most important ability of her kit, and it's probably what's going to make her or break her. So basically, the Living Weapon buff will give you invisibility, kind of like with Vayne or something like that, when you're charging it up. So the idea basically goes like, you use Supercharger, then enter Stealth, position yourself so that you can unload all of your abilities onto someone and just auto attack someone. and then you basic attack him so many times that you get Supercharger again, and then you use it again. So it's kind of like a Vayne Q in that sense that when you ult and then you use your Q on Vayne, you're basically just entering stealth a bunch of times, and that's pretty scary because entering stealth, at least on an AD carry, is very strong because it allows you to reposition. That's why Vayne, even though Vayne currently isn't that strong, she can still be played because her invisibility is so ridiculous. This is probably her biggest strength, and it's definitely what everyone's gonna be building towards. And finally, her ultimate's called Killer Instinct. Kai'Sa dashes at extremely high speed with long range to a location near an enemy champion marked with plasma, and briefly gains a damage absorbing shield. So basically the ability works kind of like a dash to any champion that has plasma stacks. So obviously the parallel here is with the W. You want to make sure that you W someone really far away, and it's kind of like a gank. So a lot of people are saying that maybe she's very good in the jungle. That might actually be the case, because the Q, remember that it hits all nearby enemies. So she has the AoE, she has the single target, she has the ganks. Maybe she works in the jungle, kind of like Kindred, but less shit. Alright, but that's pretty much about it for the entire kit. Definitely overall, we can tell that this is certainly a Ginsu's Rageblade champion. There is so much of her kit that works around gaining enough stats to proc all of her abilities. And if Ginsu's Rageblade just so happens to give her exactly the amounts she needs for everything, once she is fully stacked on Ginsu's, it's ridiculous the amount of damage that she deals with her entire kit. Like, if Ginsu's is good enough to proc her W and give her the extra boost of damage, I think this is like retarded actually. So we're gonna have to see. Obviously the E ability is probably like I said, the centerpiece of her kit. So it's definitely a very kind of frantic ADC, kind of like get in there and fight, kind of like Lucian or Vayne, something like that. But she looks super fun, and I'm totally stoked to see what I can do with her when she comes out. That's pretty much about it. I'm very excited for this release. Hopefully it lives up to its expectations for me, and hopefully you guys like it as well. I'll leave the link in the description for her champion page, or whatever you call it, where they do a little summary so you can see it a little bit more in depth. That's gonna be pretty much about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.